This is how I wrote and directed a dramatic film for the first time. Hey, I'm Adam Rebora, and I'm the writer and director of Try That Again. Try That Again is a dramatic short film that dissects power dynamics with a twist. If you want to check it out, it's out right now. You can watch it right here. Try That Again is the first film in Film in a Bag Productions' 12 for 12 filmmaking challenge, where we make 12 short films in 12 months. And seeing as it came out in January, that meant that this one had 1 month to be made. The challenge for Try That Again was to make something dramatic. I typically like comedy by trade. I am a cartoonist. I make silly things. I love puppets and zany special effects and other things like that. These are some doodles. This is more in line of what I do. But I really wanted to push myself to try and make something more serious. And this film has a lot of laughs to it, and that is intentional, so if you laughed, that's good. But I wanted the heart of it to be a drama and be about these characters and be something serious. And I think a lot of the humor that is there comes from the weight that they are feeling and how seriously they are taking the situation that they're in. I think I did it. I feel pretty good about it. I think it definitely has humor, but a lot of the comedy that I know that I like comes from being genuine and having genuine characters be put in uncomfortable situations. I think this time I leaned more into that genuine nature and didn't pull back to undercut the scene in any way or do anything silly. I kept the film grounded and all about this relationship and the power dynamics between them. So I feel like I did it. Let me know if you think I did, or was it a little too funny? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. This project was inspired a lot by our talks about pre-production. At Film in a Bag, we take pre-production pretty seriously, and we've had a lot of talks about how we can use camera angles, themes, motifs in our films, especially for the 12 for 12, so that we make sure that each one feels very unique and distinct and intentional. I ended up focusing on power, and I had this idea that, like, typically when you shoot someone in a position of power, you are shooting up at them, and when you're shooting someone in a position of weakness, you are shooting down at them. So I wanted to play with that technique and then flip it on its head, where the person who you think doesn't have the power and the person that you think does have the power are actually the opposites, and how we film them is opposite how they should be. And so we played a lot with those different levels, the angles, how steep we're going, and if you watch the film, we actually get steeper and steeper looking up and looking down at each of them as their power dynamics increase throughout. What was unexpected really was that we were doing this in a month, which I didn't think was the biggest challenge, mostly because we've worked on the 48-hour film project before. So when you look at that and go like, a month? How hard can it be? A little harder than you think. There's something about when it's in a really condensed amount of time that you kind of are just like, whatever, we're gonna make something really good, but we just have to get it out there by this weekend. When we had a month, there was actually a lot more breathing room, so it gave me more time to be intentional and think more about the choices in the edit and the music and the color. There's a saying that however much time you have, you fill it. Kind of like when you put a goldfish in a big tank, it gets bigger, and when you have it in a small tank, it stays small. And I think that really happened, and I was kind of surprised because I was like, no problem. So what I originally thought being like a lot of time ended up being a pretty tight parameter on the project. I'm super proud to have made this film with my wonderful team at Film in a Bag Productions. We're a small team, and we are embarking on this really big journey of making 12 films in 12 months, and this was the first test of that. And I really think we did a good job. The entire shoot was in 5 hours, and everyone came through to make sure that it looked the very best that it could without us sacrificing anything, and make something I think is pretty beautiful. I'm also so thankful for the actors. They really brought it. I gave that giant monologue to Brian, and he was able to get through it every single time, so shout out to that. Fun fact, Brian also made all the music on this, which I think really characterizes the piece. And I absolutely loved Ilsa's performance. She brought so much to that character that we were like off screen, like, this is so cruel. This is, how are you making this person do this? And she just relished in that power. There's like a scene where she looks back and laughs, and I love it. I love it. I'm super proud of how this came out. I also want to shout out our location, Book Club Chicago. They were so generous and donated the space to us, which ended up being super beautiful because they had all these stage lights with different colors. They were so helpful and accommodating, and you should go there and see a show. They're the best. I think I'm taking away this confidence to be able to go into a more dramatic space. I think that it is definitely something out of my comfort zone. I think that comedy is something that comes a little more naturally to me, but sometimes I can rely on that as a crutch. And I think to be genuine and serious really does take me out of my comfort zone, and I got to really live in that space and make something with that. And luckily I made this with a wonderful creative team who was there to support me along the way and make sure that it was really hard for me to fail. It was nice to know that I could trust them there even when I was stepping outside of my comfort zone, and to know that they're gonna be there in the future when I do it again. Thanks so much for watching the behind the scenes for Try That Again. It's part of our 12 for 12 filmmaking journey, so if you wanna see more films as well as these behind the scenes videos, you're in the right place. 12 films. That's a lot. 11 more to go. Subscribe if you wanna see the rest of our journey. It's gonna be great. We got it.